Hey everyone. Alright, today's video is going to be over circle graphs. Your objective: I will be able to solve problems using data represented in circle graphs. So a circle graph obviously is a circle, and it is a graphical representation with sections that represent a part of the whole. So here's an example of a circle graph, and you do not have to draw all of this. So this circle graph represents the hours of a day spent on activities. So 25% of the day is spent on sleep, 25% is spent on school, 17% on the job, etc. So obviously, since these are percentages, altogether the whole thing would be 100%. Now the size of each section is proportional to the size of the quantity and its relationship to 360 degrees of a circle. So let's take sleep as an example. Sleep is 25% of the day, which we know is 1/4. And notice how this section takes up 1/4 of the circle. Now, as usual, since we are dealing with percents, we are going to be using our percent wheel on some of these problems. The vocab here really isn't any different. We're just going to stick with part, percent, and whole. Alright, so example 1, we have favorite pizza toppings represented in this circle graph. If 75 students picked cheese as their favorite pizza topping, how many total were surveyed? So let's pick out important information. 75 students picked cheese. So let's look at the circle graph. Here's cheese. So that 35% represents 75 students. So here's a percent. So we've got 35%. Now, as we can see on the circle graph, the kids who picked cheese, they're not all of the students. They're only a part of the students. So 75 would be the part. And it wants to know how many total were surveyed. So obviously we're missing the whole. So we're going to take the part divided by the percent, which would be 75 divided by 35%, which is 0.35 as a decimal. So now we're just going to put top dog in the house and divide. Alright, I've got a decimal outside. I want to make this look like a whole number, so I'm going to move it twice to the right. I have to do the same thing inside and fill in zeros. Alright, 35 cannot go into 7, but it can go into 75 2 times, and that would be 70 with 5 left over. 35 would go into 50 1 time. With 15 left over. 35 could go into 150 4 times, which would be 140. And that would have 10 left over. So now we're going to add another 0. And 35 could go into 100 2 times. Now I'm only going to go out that far because it wants to know how many total students were surveyed. Obviously we've got a decimal as an answer, so I'm just going to round to the nearest whole number. So since I have a 2 after the decimal, that's closer to 214. So 214 total students were surveyed. Alright, example 2. We have a circle graph that contains percentages for favorite book types. So this is going to have 2 parts. So I'm going to go ahead and just divide the page into 2 different sections to show work for A and B. So letter A says determine the missing value in the circle graph and what fraction of the total number of students surveyed is comedy. So as you can see on the circle graph, we don't know the percentage for comedy, but we do know the percentage for every other area. So as I said earlier, the entire circle graph is 100%. So that means every single section should add up to 100. So what we can do here is we can just add up what we have and subtract it from 100 to figure out what percentage of students prefer comedies. So we have 3 that like romance, 16% that like fantasy, 14% like science fiction, 18% like mystery, and 10% like historical fiction. And we're just going to add all of that together. So 3 plus 6 is 9, 9 plus 4 is 13, and 13 plus 8 is 21. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2 is 6. So we've got 61% of the graph filled in. So if I take 100 minus 61, I've got to borrow 39% like comedy. So that would be 39%. Now it also asks what fraction of the total number of students surveyed is comedy. So remember, a percent is an amount out of 100. So 39% really means 39 out of 100. And that actually cannot be reduced. So 39 out of 100 students prefer comedy. Now part B says, a total of 300 students were surveyed. How many more total students were surveyed than favor mystery books? So let's think about the question. How many more total students were surveyed than favor mystery? So we're going to take the total surveyed and we're going to subtract who likes mystery. So this is what we're really concerned about. We know the total is 300 students, but we don't actually know who likes the mystery book. So that's kind of like a big question mark right now. All right, so on our circle graph, we see that 18% prefer mystery. So I'm going to use this percent wheel now. So 18% prefer mystery. Now, I need a part or I need a whole. So I don't know what 18% represents. I don't know what part of the students that is, but I do know that a total of 300 students were surveyed. That means this entire circle, that 100% is representing 300 students. So 300 is the whole. So we would be missing the part. So I'm going to take the whole times the percent. 300 times 18%, which would be 0.18. All right, I get 0, 0, 24. Put my placeholder. I get 2 more zeros. And 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to add all of that together. And I have 2 decimal places. So 54 prefer mystery. So now I know what this mystery value is. So I can find how many more total students were surveyed than favor mystery. Okay, so let's subtract this out. I've got to borrow, make that a 2, make that a 9. 10 minus 4 is 6, 9 minus 5 is 4, and then we just bring the 2 down. So 246 more students were surveyed than favor mystery books. Okay, now it is time for you to try. There are 2 questions here. Each one is going to pop up as a separate question on Educanon, so make sure that you wait till the very end and answer both of your questions. Bring your notes with you to class and have a good day.